Thanks so much for that, Chris. It may feel like we're dealing with a long winter, even though it's really only kind of getting going as of late in Ontario. At least that's how it feels, because for the most part, December was pretty good. Now we're starting January off on a pretty cold note, and we've got some squalls as well. Who's in the middle of it all? You know who. It's Kevin. And maybe only go if you really have to. Thank you so much for that, Kevin. But good idea. You know, if you don't feel comfortable driving in these conditions, the best thing to do is find a place to just ride it out. Maybe you need to be, pulling off to the side of the road or what have you. But we've got a lot of squall watches and warnings remaining in place. There are even some road closures up. 21 comes to mind, but I'm sure there are some others as well. So additional snowfall forecast between now and tomorrow. Again, areas like Barrie, north of Barrie, and up into the Owen Sound area in the Bruce Peninsula, picking up quite a bit of snowfall, 15 centimeters plus, quite likely. And then you head down towards Stratford, Kitchener, Waterloo, picking up some snow. Toronto included, St. Catharines. Boy, what a change it has been from the temperatures that were a lot milder as we started the weekend, and now it's just plummeted. But this is exactly what we expected to happen. With that colder air over the lakes, and there's still lots of available moisture. Yes, they're starting to freeze over, but there is still lots of available moisture. We've got some pretty decent squall bands picking up. Is adjacent to, well, the east end of Lake Ontario, Lake Erie. We'll see some snow as well. Thanks so much for that, Kim. Lots of great fun there in around the world. Let's take a look at the conditions that we're dealing with now that the cold has settled in so nicely right across the province. At least the south is dealing with some extreme cold now. The north has been dealing with it for a while. Let's turn it over to Mike. He is in Georgetown. Yeah, you're right, Mike. It looks like the midweek is going to be probably the coldest air that we will see or have seen so far this season. We do have watches and warnings in place for squalls across Ontario, south, and as well as the eastern Superior Shores. The additional snowfall forecast through tomorrow, Barrie up toward Owen Sound, the Bruce Peninsula, Tobermory included in 15 centimeters plus of snowfall. But that's not to say that the Lake Huron shores and back towards Stratford, Kitchener, Waterloo will be seeing a lot of snowfall as well. And then you've got places like Bayfield in here and Kincardine looking at a lot of snow as well. Also flurries tomorrow. Notice that the winds will shift direction more from the southwest as we head into tomorrow, and they'll pick up in strength probably about the midday, late day. We'll see some squalls developing as well, but some more flurries in Toronto. Thank you so much for that, Chris. It will feel somewhat like a blizzard outside depending on your location today. One of the areas that's being very hard hit are areas near Barrie, and that's exactly where we find Kevin Yard. Time to bundle up and make sure that you stay inside, maybe as much as possible, at least taking breaks from the cold that we're experiencing. The snow squall watches and warnings remain in place. Obviously, Barrie is being hard hit. Hearing of reports of road closures out there as well. So it is a problem. Let's not forget our friends up in Sault Ste. Marie. They're dealing with some snow as well from Lake Superior. But Lake Huron and Georgian Bay providing us with the moisture necessary to see 15 plus centimeters of snow from Barrie up toward Owen Sound. So some problematic, you can't drive in these areas because 21 is closed, for example. Owen Sound out toward the Lake Huron shores. And then back into Stratford and Kitchener, Waterloo, we do have a lot of snow on the way for you as well. Now, in terms of the wind direction, they're going to be northerly for the most part today. And for Toronto tomorrow, I think it'll start that way. But the southwesterlies will set up because there's a low approaching further to the south, and that will change the areas that are affected by the snowfall heading into tomorrow. It stays cold, though, pretty much all week. It is work, it is preparation, but it is a lot of enjoyment, of course, through the winter months. And now we've got the cold in place, so it's time to start setting up those outdoor rinks. Let's turn it over to an area that's been dealing with a lot of snowfall as of late, and that is near Barrie. Let's join up with Kevin. Thank you, Kevin. It's tough to keep those windows clear when the snow is coming down so heavily. The snow rates are very high under these snow squall warned and watched regions across southern Ontario. And let's not forget eastern Superior Shores are continuing with snow near Sault Ste. Marie as well. Through Tuesday, though, the highest totals will be had Barrie up toward Owen Sound and the Bruce Peninsula, and then further south, even Kitchener, Waterloo, Guelph, Cambridge, back toward Brantford, seeing some snow, and Orangeville too. Now, in terms of these winds, they're going to be, it's a little gusty day today. Mostly these winds from the north, if we're talking Toronto. But then by tomorrow, the winds picking up in strength once again. By the mid-afternoon and late day and evening, they'll be from the southwest, and those are areas adjacent to the east end of Lake Ontario, and rather Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, that will be seeing some lake effect snow as well. So suffice it to say that it is very cold. It remains cold even for the midweek. In fact, Wednesday is probably going to be the coldest air that we see all week long. It's been quite a weekend, hasn't it? We saw some mild temperatures, and then we saw the ice pellets, the freezing rain, a changeover to snowfall, and now we are in the deep, deep cold. Students trying to get to school in the cold. Let's turn it over to Mike in Georgetown and see what the conditions are like there. In terms of wind chill, that's how it's going to feel. The coldest air of the week has yet to come. Probably by Wednesday, we're going to be in the -20s for wind chills. In terms of watches and warnings, they remain in place across southern Ontario. We can thank Georgian Bay and Lake Huron for this snowfall, and Lake Superior up towards Sault Ste. Marie also getting some snow. When we just look at southern Ontario, though, the highest totals will be Barrie, back up toward Owen Sound. Closures on 21, as an example. You don't be surprised if you run into road closures and the like, because of the conditions being so poor. Snow rates are very high in these very localized bands. Colder, lake effect, yep, that's what we're dealing with. Yesterday we hit in Toronto 4 degrees, I think it was. Big drop in temperatures. Tomorrow we'll watch around Niagara Falls and upstate New York for the highest snow from the lake effect, which continues today. Lots of active weather going on still across the country this weekend. We're very busy here at the Weather Network in Storm Watch. But when we look at our map here, our weather highlights across the country, we still have very frigid and bone-chilling cold temperatures, wind chills, extreme wind chills in some cases across the prairies that we're moderating a little bit now for BC. Yes, it's still cold in the interior with snowfall and rain at the coast. Lake effect has set up now in Ontario, and still wind and sea effect going on across the east of the country. When we look at our cloud tops, we can see that there's a lot going on. The tail end of this front here passing south of Newfoundland, some strong winds coming with that as well. And then we've got that decent lake effect. But overall, it's a pretty active pattern that we see. Suddenly you were in the snow. 51 millimeters of rain in Vancouver. And today the rain continues. The snow levels are rising pretty dramatically. We'll see some slushy conditions in some cases here for the North Shore Mountains after I picked up 9 centimeters on the island. And then in the interior, look at this. We've got a lot of snow on the ground as of earlier today, and the winter storm warnings remain in place. So that means that travel is certainly slow and problematic in some cases. And then we've got our snowfall warnings for the north with our real-time radar. We have the snow in blue, the rain in green here. We can see that there's quite a bit of rain around the Puget Sound as well as the Juan de Fuca Strait and parts of the Gulf Islands, picking up a lot of rainfall as well. By the time we get now, I just want to make mention about Alberta with the snowfall here, the Clipper system departing, and then the next round of weather comes in for Calgary tomorrow, where we will see about another 5 centimeters or less of snowfall, higher totals toward the mountains. And speaking of the mountains, we have some special weather statements in place from Squamish up toward Whistler and then down into Highway 3 and also up toward Revelstoke here near Rogers Pass. Avalanches have closed some of these highways. So it is not the best conditions in the BC interior. And according to Avalanche Canada, now through Tuesday, but we've seen so much snowfall in the interior, and the conditions are going to be deteriorating, almost tripped there, deteriorating here for Calgary heading into tomorrow. It's just the cord. 5 centimeters of snow and higher totals further to the west. Edmonton, you're not going to run into it until about Wednesday. And by Wednesday, by the way, there will be a little Chinook building into Alberta's south. Temperature in Calgary, we've bumped you up now to 3 degrees. You're welcome. 11, though, on Thursday, behind that ridge of high pressure, which builds down from the north once again, bringing us, another bout of cold Arctic air. And in fact, there's another one hot on its heels way up to the north.
Matiechka, the Weather Network.
Thank you so much for that, Deb. It is still very cold in Red Deer, starting the morning off with wind chills in the -30s. I don't think we're going to really be warming up very much at all through this afternoon. We can see the temperatures, the core temperatures themselves, still in the mid-teens. And when you factor in the wind, we're in the -20s for sure. So lots of cold across the prairies and no break really in that for the bulk of this week. We look at Red Deer. There is the actual wind chill expected through the afternoon. Look ahead for the next few days. Look at this. Look at this change for Calgary. Wednesday, the Chinook, yes, 3 degrees, but then notice how it goes back down to -11. So it doesn't last for very long. but it's okay. We'll take whatever we can get. We have had some extreme cold warnings. They've since expired, but still, the story really for you, save for midweek, we see a few little flurries, but for the most part, it's still cold, and Northern Ontario still included in those extreme cold warnings. Across the prairies this afternoon, in terms of wind chills, we're in the -30s overall. The winds are not terribly strong. They're from the northwest predominantly, anywhere from 20 to 40 kilometers per hour, which of course is contributing to the wind chills. Freezing rain on Sunday as well. Barbara Monk sent this in, and we have seen now a transition over to rainfall for the southwest of the province. The interior, on the other hand, no, not so much. We still have a lot of warnings in those areas. Just want you to look through these numbers first on this map. Well, this is an area that's also under a winter storm warning. Across the south of the province, we've had a lot of snowfall and no break in it throughout today nor tomorrow. Do we really see much of an improvement? Snowfall warnings are in place further north toward Prince George. Avalanche, the risk of avalanche has closed highways in the Revelstoke area toward Rogers Pass, down toward Highway 3 near Creston, and through the Kootenay Pass there, and then back into the Okanagan if possible. Snowfall remains in place through tomorrow. We'll see. Well, we've seen already 25, but we could be going as high as 40 centimeters of snow by the time it's all said and done. And the avalanche danger rating from Avalanche Canada puts the risk at high today. I suppose it's not really a surprise considering those conditions in the BC interior.